right, so we're going to talk about a major problem found with the MoonSwatch. But before we do that, hang in there. I just got to catch you up on what exactly is going on. Okay, so Swatch and Omega team up and they make the MoonSwatch. Now that's a quartz version of the Speedmaster. Quartz watches are generally very cheap. How cheap, you ask? This watch is $270, which is expensive for a quartz watch, but it does say Omega right on it. It also says Speedmaster right on it, etc. Now the watch comes out, it gets some reviews, and it does okay. But you got to remember, quartz watches, as I said, are generally very cheap. But you see, the MoonSwatch is made very cheap too. I mean, it's quartz. The case is not made of metal. No metal bracelet, plastic crystal, etc. Now, when the watch came out, I'm talking like 5 days ago, the collectors went crazy. People start paying big money for a watch that retails for $270. Like I said, $270 is already a lot for a quartz watch, but it does have the Omega brand right on there, right on the dial. But look at how much money people paid for this watch. It's unbelievable. I mean, again, you don't even get a bracelet with this thing. The case isn't made of metal. You got the cheap crystal, quartz movement, etc. I just did not understand this at all at first. I'm thinking, why are people paying this kind of money for a watch like this? But then I find out that you can only buy the watch at a Swatch store. That's it. Can't buy it at a retailer that sells Omega. It has to be a Swatch store only. I mean, how many of you guys watching this video can just drive over to the Swatch store near you in 10-15 minutes? I'm sure just about nobody. So you got those watch collectors going nuts for this watch to add to their collection. I understand wanting it in the collection, because obviously these guys are thinking this watch is just going to be highly collectible. That's fine, I get it. But you know, as well as these watches are selling right now, don't you think that Swatch could just put them online? It's not like it's a hard watch to make. We're not talking about a Rolex here that takes a long time to make because you have the movement and you have the metal and yada, 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 the crystal, everything else. It has to look a certain way. It has to be of a certain quality. Personally, I think when they see how fast these things are selling and how successful this watch is, they might just start selling them online. And boy, if you're paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for some cheap quartz watch, I think you're a bit of an idiot. And if they start selling them online, man, those guys are just going to kick themselves right in the balls. I mean, I saw a guy online saying that he got up early to drive over to the Swatch store to wait in line. And when he got there, he was like 200th in line, and they only had 40 of those watches in the retail store. So guess what? He didn't get one. A little disappointed, I bet you. But again, I understand collector's item. I get it. Well, now this happens. I mean, these watches are so cheaply made. You got the color bleeding onto this guy's wrist. He isn't the only person either, if you're thinking it's just some kind of tragedy. Now, from what the first guy was saying, it is from sweat. So any kind of water-ish sweat, whatever you want to put it, is going to make those watches bleed onto your wrist. Oh, I bet you those collectors are a little upset now. Say what you want about the Rolex people, but they're not buying junk. Imagine shelling out $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 on some piece of crap that you can't even wear because the color's gonna bleed all over your wrist. Now, these photos just came out yesterday, and you know what? I'm curious, what is Swatch gonna do? What is Omega gonna do? Their name is right there. The Omega brand is right there on that dial, and you got the color bleeding onto people's wrists. And again, some of these people are shelling out big cash for these collector's items that they can't even wear. What are these companies going to do when channels a lot bigger than this one, or the news, for example, starts reporting that these watches are that much junk that the color is just going to bleed all over your wrist? And who knows, more problems could occur. So big shout out to all those channels that reviewed the watch and said how great it was or whatever. A lot of them didn't, most of them didn't. I sneak around here and there and watch other watch channels, of course. And I saw a couple really saying, oh, you know, for $270, da 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 da. Well, you know what? If you wear it enough, you're going to have maybe the yellow all over the wrist, maybe the blue all over the wrist, maybe the black all over the wrist. Who knows? And that's going to wrap it up for this video, folks. Hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to subscribe, all that blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you next time on another episode of It's Complicated.